Wall Street Memes Casino.
I'm fine.
And Sportsbook.
Andrew McCart, IFL TV. I'm out here in Saudi Arabia, Riyadh, at the beautiful Boulevard theme park. It seems, Paul, you've been out here a couple of times now with your fighter Ziyad Almaayouf. He's right here on my left hand side, your right hand side. We'll talk about your fighter then, Ziyad Zizou, as you call him, I believe. Is it Zizou? Zizou. You told me that about 2 seconds ago.
Zizou's Zidane, isn't he?
Yeah.
Not many beating him.
Listen, obviously, he's here. He's from Saudi Arabia, born here, based out in LA now. I mean, the Saudis, what they're doing over here, they're creating a spectacle, they're creating these big fights, but to have a homegrown fighter in Ziyad, it's going to be amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's great, and it's a lot of pressure for him as well when he's out here because he's the home fighter, you know. But it's also great for him, and he should be celebrating the fact that he's out here representing his nation and the kingdom, in the kingdom itself, fighting on these mega shows because these are huge. This is some production.
Talk to me about obviously the pressure of being a Saudi fighting on these cards, because we see big fights coming over here in the Joshuas and Ngannous and Furies and whatnot, but as a Saudi homegrown fighter, is there any pressure on this kid? Does he feel it?
I'd be lying if I said he didn't or he hasn't in the past, but he's learning to deal with it. You know, he's less than 5 fight novice, you know, and he's got to learn, and it's going to take a long time for him to learn and adapt to the game because of the lack of amateur pedigree. But that's sort of not making an excuse for him. He's taken it all in the stride. He's been on some huge shows now. You know, he's been on Andy Joshua shows in London. He's been on Usyk Dubois. He's been on massive mega shows out here in Saudi as well. And this is another one where he's on now. So it's not like he's just getting on at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon and doing his business under the light, away from the lights. He's under the lights and under the spotlight each time he fights. So it's pressure, but it's a good thing. It's a bit of a. I told him once, it's a bit of a privilege and not pressure. You know, you're getting a chance to fight on some monumental shows, and that takes a lot for fighters to be able to get on them bills. So the fact that he's on them is a bit of a privilege rather than pressure.
We've seen the last time out, he fought a South American fighter. The last time he got dropped in the first round, and he showed his toughness that he can rally round. And even though it was a 4-round fight, sometimes it's a scare getting knocked down in the first round because you've got a limited amount of time to try and get that point back. But he showed his toughness, his resilience to get through that fight and come out with a win. But this time he's obviously learned it. I think it's learned from it. It's the 6th round fight. So what kind of performance are you hoping for?
To be honest with you, I didn't want to make you look bad, but he's had one since on Usyk Dubois. He had a 6-rounder since, so there'll be no more 4-rounders now, definitely. As you said yourself, Andy, you know, the 4 rounds is a bit of a lottery. If you get caught with one big shot, you get a count. You've got to win the next 3 rounds, which he did in that fight. But his last fight, pretty straightforward win again. He wasn't happy with it. He won on points, but he performed well in my opinion. And same again on Friday night this week. He's in another South American opponent, another Mexican opponent, a big puncher as well. But he's got to box and keep disciplined. Buddy McCart will be over on Thursday and back in his corner. He's flying in from the States where he's been training, and the kid's he's a dream. You know, he loves and lives the game, and he wants to be the best fighter to come out of Saudi, which he is at the moment, and he wants to. He's speaking Scouse now on the other interviews, but he wants to do well, and he wants to be the best. And I'm right behind him. Yeah, sorry mate.
Your face.
Jump in. Come and get on here, Ziz. Come on. I'll let him finish the interview off, mate.
Step back a little bit.
Step back a little bit, mate.
There we go. Obviously, as I said to Paul there, your last outing here in Saudi Arabia, you got dropped in the first round, but within 4 rounds, a fighter can maybe lose his nerve, lose his cool, because he's only got 3 rounds to get that point back, and you showed resilience, toughness to get through that fight and get through that round, and that's something you can learn from and obviously bring it to this fight next.
Look, that knockdown was the best thing that ever happened to my career and to my life. What it changed for me physically in boxing and what it changed for me mentally in my life is just something you can't get from not being knocked down. And like Coach Buddy McCart says, and the people around me say, you know, construction workers are gonna get dusty, mechanics are gonna get dirty, and boxers are gonna get knocked down. But you get up from it and you keep going and you win the fight. So right now we're back here. Hopefully no knockdowns this time, and we get the job done easily.
That's what we're hoping for. It's called Knockout Chaos. Can we get a knockout?
Yeah, we will get a knockout. You know, we will get a knockout. The law of attraction. Speak it and it's how it happens. Speak it and it happens.
Do you feel any pressure being a Saudi, this is your home country, Coming from Saudi with the shows that the Saudis are putting on, I mean, Knockout Chaos, we had Day Reckoning back in December, we had Fury and Usyk, massive events are happening here as a homegrown fighter. Do you feel any pressure flying that flag?
Of course, the pressure is always there, but with that much pressure comes so much more, even privilege, you know what I mean? And you have to expect some emotions to be able to deal with them. So how can I expect to be the first professional boxer from Saudi, the first one to compete in Riyadh season, to represent the crowd and to be the hope and symbol for so many fans and not to have pressure? But I expect it, and I'm finding it so right here, so I'm able to deal with it and calm it down. And you know, speaking of massive events, this is all coming down to His Royal Highness the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and His Excellency President of the General Entertainment Authority, who is now the #1 most influential figure in boxing, Turkey Al Sheikh. How crazy and how beautiful is that to have someone so influential in boxing be from Saudi Arabia and doing this in what I might call and what I'd love to call the golden era for this generation and so many generations to come.
Here's a question for you then, Ziyad. You going to headline here? Are you going to be the main event one day?
Oh, most definitely one day, God willing, you know, if God wills it, then it will happen. But with this support of the kingdom, with the support of the Crown Prince, with the support of His Excellency, anything can happen, and I'm sure I'm gonna ride this off until the end. The wheels come off or not, I'm riding it off even without the wheels until I headline one day and I bring a world title to Saudi. You know, history is something that nobody can ever take away from you, but I'm chasing so much more than just belts. Being the first to do this and that, being the first boxer, the first world champion, the first unified, the first 2-weight, 3-weight, being the first is beautiful and so important. But being the first of many is so much more important. I didn't have a blueprint coming out. I didn't have the equipment, the setup. Now I'm setting up the blueprint for so many people to come after me. And I believe I'm in this situation now because #2, I'm a good fighter, but first because I try to be a good person. And that's the best blueprint to set up for the fighters coming after me.
Okay, well that's pressure in itself as well, not just bringing the fights, like headlining a show here in Saudi, but it's the kids that are going to look up to you. It's kids that are in the Mike Tyson gym right now, I've seen them, 6, 7 years old, Saudi kids that want to be just like Ziyad. And listen, it's pressure in itself, but you can live with that.
Oh, but it's beautiful pressure, right? It's this isn't real pressure. There's so much worse pressure to go through. But to be a superhero for people, you know, a superhero who shows up just at the right time, just when you thought he might not show up in the last fight of Riyadh season, then he shows up and now he's fighting on the card. And I get to be, you know, a symbol of hope and opportunity for so many fighters coming after me. But when I say fighters, I don't just mean the boxers, the fighters in their jobs, the fighters in tennis, in boxing, in swimming, in directors, in movie creators. Any fighter who's fighting for their dream, I get to show them is despite the lack of whatever you might have, if it's opportunity or courage or whatever it is, you can get anything done. And that's why I'm here. You know, this is a larger than life story. That's what I'd like to call it.
Yeah, you've got plenty more media to do, it seems. I won't keep you much longer, but thank you so much, brother, and good luck. Thank you.
Wall Street Memes Casino
I'm fine.
and Sportsbook.